Hi, my name is Rachel, and today I'm going to be talking about polymer clay. I use different types of polymer clay when making my charms and my pendants. I sell them on my Etsy shop called The Crystal Tree. You can find a link on my YouTube page, and I'll try to put one down below. So, when I first started out, there was different types of polymer clay that I wanted to buy, and the first one I went with was Sculpey III, and I liked it because it did offer a lot of different colors. The price was decent, especially when you're first starting out. You don't want to spend a lot of money, but you want to get a lot of something so you can kind of try and see if it's something you want to do. And one thing that's good about it is the price. The color choices, there's lots of them. They have some very bright colors and they have some dark colors. And the bad thing about it is, though, it's very soft. I didn't really like the texture of it. This is the only thing I've actually made out of Sculpey III. And what I noticed when I worked with him is that when I was holding him, he started to lose his shape. His arms, his feet started to kind of cave in, especially if I wanted to hold him to be able to put his hair on. And I noticed that red bleeds really bad and could get onto the white, and my fingerprints showed up more easily. So I wanted to find a way if there was something I could do for the fact that it was too soft and that my fingerprints kept showing up. So I went online and I found out there were other clays. So the clay that I found was Primo. And Primo, I'd have to say, is my favorite clay. This is the most I actually have. I use this the most. The price is a little bit more than the Sculpey III. And one thing about Primo Sculpey is that it doesn't capture your fingers as easily, and I could hold my character for much longer, and a little bit I can actually hold on to him without him smearing too much. And so I really like this stuff. Then I went ahead and bought some Fimo because I wanted to see if there was a difference in the clays. And I like Fimo as well, and so I'll use both of them together. Their temperatures are a little bit different, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. One thing about the Fimo is that it comes in lighter colors. It comes in this mint blue, mint green, light pink, light purple. I mean, it has more choices in lighter colors. I don't think there's any pastels in the Primo, so it's nice to have a little choice. Which is nice about the Fimo is it has special effects. Some of their clays do different things, and I actually have some clay here, this is Fimo. It actually glows in the dark, and I made little ghosts and skulls and stuff that I wanted to show up, and this stuff really glows very well. You just put it up to the light. Put up to the light for a little bit, and it immediately starts to glow. Sometimes you don't even have to do that. They cook at different temperatures, though. This cooks at 275 and this cooks at 230. So if you do combine the two, you might want to watch when you're baking them. It all depends on the thickness of your character too. Like something like this, I sat in for about 30 minutes. The smaller and the thinner it is, the less time it has to sit in the oven. And so I'm going to show you how each one kind of works. This one right here is from the multi-pack. This is the Sculpey III, and as you can see, you can work with it right off the bat. I didn't do anything. It was right out of the package, and you can see that it's really easy to work with. A lot of people like that. They don't want to have to take a lot of time to work on their clay, but like I said, it captures your fingers. And the reason I am wearing gloves is because I prefer to wear gloves when I'm working with my clay, because I don't want fingerprints to show up. And these are a nice brand, and I'll talk about those in a few minutes. I'll show you what type of brand of gloves they are in case you do actually prefer to wear gloves, and where you can actually get them. So this right here is the Sculpey III, so you can see how that kind of works. It works, I mean, you can just press your finger into it. It works really nice. Now, I'm making sure my hands are clean. When I work with this is the Primo. This is Primo Clay. You can see it's been sitting for a while and how it rips apart. If you don't really want to sit and work with it for a long time, what you do is your hands are warm enough. They actually help to make the clay. And so, as you can see, I got a little bit of the other clay on it, but it warms it up. Your hands warm it up, and so you have to take a little bit more time working with this clay than you do with the Sculpey III. And that's what people like about the Sculpey III, is that you don't have to spend a lot of time preparing the clay. But what I figured with this clay is this is more like the type of clay you would have like if you wanted to play with little kids and you wanted to make something like a project, or there's a group of you at home and you just want to make some cute little characters that the kids don't care about fingerprints. I wanted something a little bit more professional. And as you can see, like as I work it, it's actually coming out really nicely. And this board I'm working on is actually a tile that I got at Home Depot. And you can do your projects and then set them on there and then just stick this whole thing in the oven. And it can bake, and then you can take it out and let it sit on the countertop to cool. So it's nice because you can get the tiles of different sizes. So if you have little projects, you can just set them off to the side. And you can see this now is just like the other stuff. It works just as well. And it will hold its shape really nicely, and you can make a lot of pretty things with it. These two are about the same. It takes a while to get them to actually start to be able to shape them. You have to use some strength in your hand and warm it up, and it should start to work. So I'm going to show you what colors happen. Red, that I found out, red even in Sculpey III, Primo, even Fimo, red and black will dye your hands. And you don't want to work with like white and then all of a sudden go from red then go to white, because it will make your clay dirty. As you can see here, I'll pick the red up. Look, you can already see it on my hand. I can run it across my glove, and that's what it leaves on you. If you start to roll it, that's what it does. I mean, it leaves a residue all over your hand. The red is also softer, just like with working with I'm trying to remember, Sculpey III. It is softer. For some reason, red just bleeds. So you have to be careful. You might want to switch your gloves or wipe your hands off. And I have something for that I use to clean off all my equipment. It is baby wipes. This particular brand I do like using. You have to try different types of brand depending on where you live. I got this at Fred Meyer, and it's nice because I use it to clean off my hands if I don't want to switch my gloves. It will work. As you can see, it takes it right off. And if I want to clean my surface, like let's say I rolled some red here and I'm going to roll some white next, or a lighter color, and I don't want it to get on there. As you can see it actually started to kind of dye the wet wipe a little bit, and I can clean off my surface with this. I can also use the wet wipes to clean off all my equipment as well, and it won't hurt my equipment at all. And as for gloves, I use this nitrile exam gloves. I wear small because I like them to keep them tight to my hand, so when I'm rolling it won't leave any marks on the clay. It does have a textured finger, but the textured finger is kind of beaded, so it doesn't really show up as clearly on the clay when you're using it, and they're non-latex, so if you're allergic to latex, these are nice gloves for people who can't wear that. You get them in a pack of 200, but they sell them in packs of 2. I got them at Costco for $20, and so I have like 400 gloves, so it's nice because this is going to last me a long time. If you don't have a Costco membership, maybe you know someone who does, they can get you in and get you the gloves. Another thing I use for cleaning, especially if your character, let's say he gets all dirty from like hair that you pick off the surface, or your hands are dirty. A lot of people will actually take a piece of clay that they constantly always roll in their hand to take off any hair or lint that they capture on their hands. Another way to do it is that wait until the end, you're finished with your character. You can take this alcohol and get this a little bit wet. Don't like soak it in there, and just kind of rub it over his body, and that will help you to try and take off any hair that you might get on your character. Or if maybe the color bled a little bit, you can probably use it and it will start to take the clay and kind of dissolve it a little bit. That's why you don't want to just, pour this all over your character. You want to use a Q-tip. And there's another clay that you can use. It's fun. It's called, I think its abbreviation is TLS. This is translucent liquid Sculpey, and it's liquid Sculpey. So what you can do is, like this character, for instance, like let's say I don't want to blend his legs, I could put little daubs on his arms and where his legs go, and actually it's like a glue, and it just the Sculpey's liquid, and you could color it like the red, you know how it dyed my glove. You can actually mix a little bit of red in this and it will actually dye the clay for you. I've also heard, or well, I've tried it once. I didn't care for it too much, but you can take it and put it over an image you get off the internet, and you bake the image, that's a piece of paper, and this in the oven, and then you put it under water and the paper dissolves, and it will leave a black and white copy of the picture on the clay, and then you can take watercolors and paint it. And it says it here on the instructions of what you can do, what its use is for. What you cook, 275 is what you cook it at. So it's nice. And lastly, to get a shiny finish, like I did on this top of this container here, I used mini wax water-based varnish. And this stuff is really nice because it is water-based. You can clean it with soap and water, so you can take a paintbrush and paint it on the spots that you want, and it's a nice shiny finish. Because when your stuff comes out, he's matte and these guys are shiny. It's because I went ahead and painted them in certain places on their bodies because I wanted them to be shiny in some places, not shiny in other places. And to get this effect here, I went and actually went to like Joann's or Michael's, and they have these paper boxes. You can actually cover a paper box that hasn't been painted. This has been painted. Don't stick that in the oven. But if you can find them, they're like $1 to $5 for a box, and you can actually cover it with your clay, build on it, and then stick it in the oven and bake it, and it comes out like this. And it doesn't shrink the box or anything. It's permanently on there. It's kind of like, they're kind of like glue. And another suggestion too is if you do decide you like working with this and it does feel soft to you, you can work with your character in like parts and put him in the refrigerator and let him sit for a few minutes and take him out. That the coldness from the refrigerator or freezer will actually make him get harder, and that will make it easier for you to work with him so you don't start to squish him. And another thing that I also learned is that if you wanted to, like, let's say you make a bead, but you want to cut that bead in half so you can have a perfect dome on a piece of work that you're working with, you can take your clay and bake it for a few minutes and then take it out and actually cut it in half with one of your knives, which I'm going to talk about tools in another video. And then you can do something like what I did here. And so that's everything that I know so far about polymer clay. Just show you a couple of my pieces that I make. This one's textured. I have a video on showing you the different types of tools I use to make texture on the top of my clay. I also show you a video on how to make beads, the equipment that I use for making beads. I made these types of beads here, and I'll also talk about molds. I made a mold to make this butterfly happen. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm always happy to answer them. Thank you for watching.